Hey everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my series of Ascendants. Today we're going to talk about a Taurus Ascendant. Okay, so if you are a Taurus Ascendant, so how do you find out what is your ascendant sign? If you don't know how to do that, click on the link mentioned in the description of the video and find out what is your rising sign, what is your ascendant, and what is your Lagna. It's all the same thing. Do not confuse this with sun signs because this is not your sun sign. Okay, this is different. This is Vedic astrology. If you want to know more about Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my channel. I have made a few videos about what is Vedic astrology if you want a proper understanding of what is Vedic astrology and how is it different from Western astrology, and definitely how it is different from sun signs. Okay, great. So let's talk about the Taurus Ascendant. So Taurus Ascendant people are ruled by Venus because Taurus sits in their first house. Okay. And since Taurus sits in their first house, these people are usually very headstrong people. They are fantastic in accumulating wealth in their life. Okay. They are very focused people. They are not the spendthrift kind. They are fantastic at growing their assets, money that they earn. They're very careful about the wealth that they have accumulated. Okay, usually very calculative about how they speak as well. All right, very practical. They will think twice before taking any major financial decisions about their lives. All right, since they are also ruled with Venus, they are quite soft. They're quite well-spoken, soft-spoken people. They can impress people with the way they speak. Okay, and since Venus rules desires, all the five sense organs, one of the reasons why these people mainly focus on the accumulation of wealth which comes from success. So these people want to be successful people in their lives by investing money, by making money, by focusing on wealth and growth. Okay, now let's look at a little bit about their families. So family usually is looked at from the second, third, fourth, and to some extent the ninth house of father and the guru, and some people look at the father from the 10th house, but usually your second, third house and your fourth house, because these are the houses that signify your family, your younger sibling, your mother. You know, the fourth house of mother, the third house of younger siblings, and the second house of family. So if you look at a Taurus ascendant, Gemini falls in their second house, Cancer falls in their third house, and Leo falls in their fourth house. Okay, so mostly airy. Gemini is an air sign, Leo is a fire sign, and then Cancer is ruled by moons, which is again a very fast-moving planet. The family lives of the Taurus ascendants, the family life is usually a little difficult. So their family members depend on the Taurus people. Okay, so these people could be the backbone of their family. Especially Venus is very well placed. Okay, because Gemini, Cancer, and Leo, their family life could have ups and downs. If there's a malefic in their first house, or if there is a malefic in these houses, they could be away from their family, but that doesn't mean they don't support their family. They could be physically away from their family, but they could have a very strong say in their family. You can also look at them as someone who has a very strong say, even though they could be the youngest in their family, but their family members could look up to them as a backbone of their family. So that is the Taurus Ascendant. Okay. Now the third house of communication is ruled by Cancer, which means they are usually soft. They're usually soft-spoken people. They are very protective about their younger siblings. All right. Um, their fourth house is ruled by Leo, which means their father also could be very motherly. All right, because Leo signifies the father as well, because Leo is ruled by Sun. All right. Now let's look at their fifth house of children. Now their fifth house of children is where Virgo sits. And what is Virgo? Virgo is this very analytical sign. Okay, Virgo is also an earth sign, right? And Venus debilitates in Virgo. So these people may have trouble communicating with their children. They could be so busy that they might not have time for their children, because remember, these people are very career oriented people. These people are the ones that want to do something in their lives so that their wealth increases. Okay, their assets increase. So they might have difficulty spending time with their children, and could be a reason why children can be distant from them. All right. Now let's look at their sixth house of enemies, daily work, where Libra sits. Now Libra is also Venus ruled. Okay, so is Taurus. So these guys are fantastic and very diplomatic in the way they approach their enemies. Now, why enemies in workplace are seen in the same house? I was asked this question, I think, some time ago, and I believe your enemies are seen from the workplace, your daily work life, is because your enemies need to know pretty much the same thing that you know. Otherwise, they won't be a formidable enemy, right? It's like if you're a boxer, what is your workplace? Your workplace is going into the boxing ring, and your colleague could be your enemy. You have to fight and win your enemy, right? Similarly in sports, right? In any kind of other sports apart from boxing. So your main competition could be your enemies, and your enemies could be as good or could be better than could have better skills than what you have, isn't it? Okay. So since Libra sits in their sixth house, Taurus ascendants can actually partner with their enemies. They could negotiate with their enemies, and they could get their work done. They could also dissolve the issues that they have with enemies. That's how they deal with their enemies. All right. Now let's look at their seventh house. So their seventh house is very interesting. Now Scorpio sits in their seventh house. Okay. Now Scorpio is owned by Mars, and the lordship of Taurus is Venus. Venus and Mars. It's a fantastic union. Okay, because Venus is the Deha Karaka for women, and Mars is the Deha Karaka for men. Okay, so there is a lot of intimacy with their partners. Okay, these people not just need mental stimulus, but they also need the physical connection and the physical stimulus going on with their partners, because their seventh house is also connected to their 12th house of spirituality, of loss, of bed pleasures, of sexual activity, because Mars rules all of that. Okay, and since Scorpio sits in their seventh house, these guys are usually practical and logical in their approach, right? But they are attracted to the secretive energy of Scorpio. Okay, so which means their partners could be very secretive about certain things, or they like their partners who are secretive. They like people who they don't understand. They like people that they cannot figure out. They're attracted to partners that they cannot understand, which could eventually cause trouble. And there is trouble in any union, there's trouble in any relationship, but these are usually the problems that they have about not understanding their partners, because they're completely different energies. One is the Scorpio energy, the dark Scorpio energy, and then there is this Venus energy of Taurus, which is about family, being there for the family, who's able to discuss problems with the enemies and talk it out and solve issues, and only wants to focus. Headstrong people who want to focus on their own growth and growing and being there for their family. Okay, so conflicting energies, but what can you say? When it comes to the union of relationships and marriage, it's the opposites that match, isn't it? Okay, so like charges repel, and unlike charges attract, like laws of energy, isn't it? All right, so let's look at their eighth house. So interesting, again, eighth house is where Jupiter sits. Okay, and Jupiter also is ruling their 11th house of networking, older brother, how they relate to the world, how they network. Their friend circle is seen from their 11th house. Their gains is seen from the 11th house. And 8th house is obviously the house of their in-laws, their house of transformation, house of suffering, house of ups and downs, house of death, house of sex. 8th house. Okay, so when Jupiter has the lordship of these two, especially Sagittarius, which means that their transformation, because 8th house signifies transformations through sufferings, until it's the ultimate transformation, which is death. Death is also a transformation. You're transformed from one form to another form. Everything is a transformation. Everyone dies many deaths in a lifetime, is what I say. It's just the physical body that keeps living sometimes, but you could have a death of a certain trait of your personality, which is also a death, which is your 8th house related. Okay, and what is the sign of Sagittarius? Sign of Sagittarius is a spiritual sign. It's a sign of gurus. It's the sign of long distance travel. It's the sign of principles. So they could have transformation through a guru. They could have transformation through traveling somewhere. They could have transformation through some major loss that had changed their life. It could be transformation after the death of a family member. Okay, and looking at the 11th house, which is Pisces. Pisces is again a spiritual sign, Jupiter related sign. Pisces and Venus exalts in Pisces, which means if you're a Taurus ascendant and your Venus is in the 11th house of Pisces, which means it's a very strong placement for your Venus. Okay, so what does this mean? Which means they love communicating with people. Remember, Venus energy. Venus doesn't like to be on their own. Venus, if you look at your birth chart, 8 out of 10 cases, Venus will either be with Mercury or Sun. You can look at your birth chart or some other planet or more than 2 planets. Very, very rarely will you see Venus alone in a birth chart. Okay, and the reason is because Venus doesn't like being on its own. Venus loves communicating with other people, and 11th house is all about that. 11th house is the world outside, your friend circle, your network circle, the number of friends you have on Facebook or Instagram. Okay, that is your network circle. And with the network circles, what do you like to discuss? You like discussing Jupiter and the Pisces related things. You could love speaking about spiritual things. You could love talking about monasteries. You could love talking about the other realm, because 12th, Pisces signifies the other realm. Pisces signifies being spiritual. You could also have great network in NGOs, helping the poor, donating to the poor. Okay, Uh, Pisces is all about that. All right. Okay, so let's look at their ninth house and 10th house, which is ruled by Saturn. So Saturn, Capricorn sits in their ninth house, and Aquarius sits in their 10th house. Now, what this means, firstly, Saturn becomes a very, very good planet for these people because Saturn is the lord of their ninth house. Okay, so these are the people who they don't need to fear Saturn. Okay, because Saturn becomes a yogacara planet for them, which means it's a benefic, functional, although it's a malefic, but it becomes a functional benefic for these people. Okay, also Venus and Saturn get along quite well, is what the ancient saints have told us. Okay, now since Capricorn sits in their ninth house of principles, discipline, long distance travel, their father, their gurus, their higher education, there could be some kind of a delay in their they could miss a year in their, or in their higher education, or they could skip work for a bit and then complete their higher education even later. Okay, especially if Saturn is not very well placed. Even if Saturn is well placed, usually there is delay in the fields where Saturn rules. Okay, usually there are obstacles, but eventually they get good results since Saturn is a benefic planet for them. Okay, and their 10th house is ruled by Aquarius. Aquarius is also the significator of large organizations, private organizations. Since it's diagonally opposite to Leo. Leo is the significator of government organizations. So bang opposite Leo is Aquarius. So Aquarius is the significator of large organizations, which means they might be associated with large organizations. Okay. They could be doing something for large organizations, and if they want to do something, they want to do something for the masses. They want, you ask a Taurus Ascendant what they want to do. They want to do something for the general people. They want to do something for the masses. Is what they want to is what they would like to tell you. All right, so that's pretty much it. So my analysis was just on the chart, not about where the placement of the planets are. How planets are placed completely could change these things, right? If your Venus is debilitated, it could be you could have different results. If your Venus is very well placed, or the conjunctions aspect, you need to look and analyze a chart properly without prediction. But usually these are the traits, these are the basic traits of Taurus Ascendant or Taurus rising people. All right, so if you like this video, please click on the subscribe button and hit the like button. If you're interested in these kind of things, I'm going to make more videos about Vedic astrology and talk a lot about karma and these kind of things. So thank you so much for your time. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you would like a consultation, or if you want to know more about what I do, please go to www.swamisaptaparni.com. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Talk to you soon.